Welcome to Pop Therapy and True Crime Files, where pop culture, intuition, and true crime collide. My name is Miriam, and I am a psychic medium.
And this is where we decode the drama with depth. My name is Denise, and I am also a psychic medium.
So, hi, Denise.
Hello.
We were sort of scrambling to get here tonight.
Oh, I know. We did. We made it.
How is everybody? How was your weekend? Was this last weekend, the long weekend? No, this was not 4th of July. 4th of July was last weekend.
The weekend before. It felt like a long weekend to you because you traveled.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right.
2 million miles in like 12 hours.
I know. We've been doing that for years, though, driving up to the Bay Area or driving to Arizona. It's just sort of our shtick. I don't know. I mean,
I get it, but you added 2 hours to your trip to the Bay Area because you moved.
But if you stop in LA, which is what we did, we stopped in LA. I went and met a friend, walked the dogs. It was easier. It was easier.
Oh, that's good.
It's still a challenge, but Anyway, okay, so hello. We have a full night. We have a lot of crazy stuff to talk about. But before we get into that, remember, for those of you guys who follow us on Patreon, we've got that should work. The little
QR code.
Thank you. That should work. Tonight, the post show is weird. Thank you, Denise.
You're welcome.
I feel like this title sort of says it all. I don't know what it is, and I don't know who these people are, but we are going to find out. So that's creepy. So that's tonight, immediately following the post show. Then it's like our pop therapy week on Patreon. Thursday night, we have the psychic tea, celebs, true crime, and all kinds of stuff. Submit your questions. We've got a lot of questions already submitted for this week, but we will always take more, of course. You can, for those that are on Patreon, you get 1 free question a month about yourself. You can ask as many celeb and crime questions as you want. So you are welcome to submit those. For those that are part of, well, I guess if you guys follow us on Behind the Hauntings too on YouTube, Scootergate is going to be part of the Psychic Tea Thursday night. It's still happening. We're still looking for the scooter. So that's going to be there. So we've got a lot going on tonight. So we've got the hot take. We're breaking down the Psychic Tea on Thursday. Of course, Cosmic Circle every Sunday on Patreon. It's your weekly reset. It's a gentle space to breathe, realign, and make sense of the crazy around us. So join us at the Cosmic Circle every Sunday. All right, you guys, let's do this. So we've got Madonna, who is our generation, my generation, your generation, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Madonna's everyone. I feel like Madonna's sort of, everyone's generation. Well, but I mean,
also, and to the point being, this is how she reinvents herself, and she has an audience all through the decades.
Perfect segue. Her whole career is built on reinvention, shedding her skin. So the question is reinvention a growth tool or an avoidance strategy? When does becoming someone new heal you versus let you outrun something? Madonna has been iconic in reinvention as well as Cher has. So if Madonna and Cher are both icons when it comes to reinventing themselves, why does Madonna get so much for it and Cher doesn't? Is it Cher's boyfriend that's 29 or Madonna's boyfriend is 29?
Madonna's is 29 and she's 67. Cher's is 35 and she's 77. So
it's kind of the same
hairs
thing.
here.
Yes.
That's why there's those funny memes going around that it's like, if that's the case, everybody needs to calm down because your boyfriend's not born yet.
That's awesome.
So,
That's awesome.
So
this is
good.
We're good. This is a great question that you posed, though. What happens psychologically when a woman refuses to quiet down as you age, and why that specifically triggers so many people? It's so true. You start. It's so loaded.
Well, there's so many things I can go here with this. And I think a portion of that is that we have this preconceived notion of what somebody in their 60s should look like. And if you look back maybe 10, 15 years and you look at somebody that was in their 50s or 60s 10 or 15 years ago versus what somebody looks like now, you're going to see drastically different people. And the people that expect you to look your age or older have a real problem with women, not necessarily men, but women not behaving appropriately.
Absolutely.
And, a friend of mine texted me yesterday and she's like, hey, because she belongs to the Elks Club, whatever. And so she's like, she texted me and I was like, I'm like, whatever. I'm like, okay. And so she's like, hey, they have free line dancing lessons. You want to go this afternoon? I'm like, sure, why not? Right?
Say yes.
So we went and it was fun. We had a great time, but there was another lady there that was really struggling with her movement and some song came on and I don't know. And I said, oh, well, there, I just dated myself. I said, she's like, well, how old are you? I go, I'm old. And she's like, well, how? And I said, well, I'm 60. Then my friend Janice, she's like, no, you're not. And I'm like, well, I'm 62. She's like, I'm 62. And I went, oh.
What row?
I was like, you look great. I love your purple hair. Because I was like, oh. And I didn't mean it to be like, I didn't say it quite like that, but I was like, okay. So it kind of reinforces of what, people think aging should look like or should be. And we have had this unfortunate narrative of you get to be a certain age and you should just stop doing things because you might hurt yourself. And, I apparently do not get those memos in my inbox because I do things that I'm like, oh, that was probably a little wild for me to be doing. Like I'm helping my son paint his house. For anybody who doesn't know, I live in Arizona. I think you guys know that by now. So we have to go out there at dark 30 because it is hot as you know what right now here. And so we got to get out there before the paint dries before we get it on the house. And I'm up on this 12-foot ladder, painting the eaves.
Impressive. I think that you should be on that 12-foot ladder if your body and brain are agree that you're stable and safe. I mean, because it doesn't matter if you're 60 or 10, if you don't have control of your body any longer because you haven't been exercising, you haven't been taking care of it, you haven't been working the brain muscle, if you haven't been doing all of that, then yeah, you shouldn't be on that ladder. But whether you're 10 years old or 60 years old, if you've been working those muscles, why can't you be on that ladder? I mean, yes, our bones are a little bit more brittle when we fall. I'm sure a doctor might have something to say to it, but I agree. Like and why shouldn't you have purple hair at 60? Like why is there this assumption that everything stops? And I think that that's very much again, I say this, I feel like I say this every show, but it's true. Because of social media, this is changing, because on social media, we're building communities with one another, especially women. And women are showing us, oh, a woman that lives halfway across the world is the same age as me. And why is she's behaving like this and no one's giving her slack for it? But if I did that here, for some reason, I'm told I'm too old or whatever that is. And all of a sudden you think, wait a minute, I can do this. I can be this. It no longer matters. And I think Madonna was at the forefront of not giving a about other people's opinions. And
Right.
that is very alarming and uncomfortable.
Right. And I think, if you look back at some of her, like her song Like a Prayer when videos were still around, you know what I mean? Cher pushed the envelope with her clothing, right? Madonna has pushed the envelope with her behavior and her stance on things. And I think that is a portion, at least my thoughts, of why she gets a little more grief. And I'm not even sure, and this is just my personal take. It's one of those things where I'm not sure Madonna really fully believes when she says some things, as much as she's trying to invoke a conversation and a different thought process.
Yeah. When I feel out Madonna's energy, I feel like she has over the last maybe 15, maybe 20 years, there's been this sense of confusion internally of why, it was like she started to question who she was. She never questioned who she was before. She never questioned anything about herself. And all of a sudden she's starting to do that. And then she's asking herself, why? Why am I questioning? Why am I sort of stopping before I go? Whereas before I used to never do that. And now I'm doing that. Why am I feeling this resistance? And a big part of that was an internal struggle and an internal resistance to watching a younger generation come up behind her. And there was almost this sense of not being able to understand the aging process. And I don't mean that in a way of rules, what society says aging is, but just the facts of aging. Oh, I am no longer that age. I'm looking at someone else that is, and they're allowed to behave a certain way. And you get some pushback, but really it's not that much. All of a sudden, this new, how do I say it? It's like she had pushback before, didn't care. Now she's got pushback times 3, and it's making her doubt and question herself.
Right. And kind of to your point, to add on to that, I think some of the other things that change as like vernacular changes. What one word used to mean is something completely different now, and I know that we have, Violet's she's a teacher, and like when the kids are like, that's not that deep. And, everybody's like, what the hell does that mean? And it's like, well, it's because it's not that big a deal. Right. So it's like, and, and instead of saying I'm tired, now the kids are like, oh, I'm cooked.
That's so true.
Right. So it's like, so you start to lose touch with the words. And so you're like, where am I at in this crazy world now?
That's interesting that, first off, the Golden Girls is such a perfect example.
Oh my gosh, totally.
To think that they were my age, weren't they? In their 50s?
Yeah. Well, and to think the woman that played,
Betty White, of course, that's the obvious one.
B. Arthur, Rue McClanahan, and the lady that played the mother.
The mother. Yes. I don't know her name, but yeah.
I can't remember her name, but and she was the youngest of the 4 of them.
Yeah.
yet she played the oldest of them because she was supposed to be,
Yeah.
her
Yeah,
mom.
Golden Girls is a perfect example, but I even remember when I was in my 40s looking around at myself and my friends and a lot of people in my generation and noticing, oh, we're starting to look younger. We're starting to feel younger than what our parents did, and I think obviously that's even started with our parents, but you're starting to see that trickle down. And I think a lot of that has to do with a healthy form of self-care that like it probably started in I know it was definitely in my parents' generation because they were very much involved in exercise, regular exercise, healthy eating. And a lot of the people in my generation had parents also that started that whole workout craze. Isn't that when like Jane Fonda was working out and all of that started?
Jazzercise and
Jazzercise, yeah.
Richard Simmons.
Richard Simmons, because
And then
exercise is huge.
who was the guy that shook on the machine?
Oh,
Jack LaLanne. Like all of these people like started like because my mom, I was a kid. I can remember my mom, like doing these. Oh my gosh. And I don't know if any of you ever watched, I didn't watch the whole series, but it was on Amazon Prime and it was what was the name of it? She was a married stay-at-home mom and but she was a comedian, so she would sneak out of the house at night and do comedy.
mm,
And she was from the 60s, and so in this show, which is so true because I can remember my mom doing these in the things in the
mhm,
late 60s and stuff, measuring her thighs, like how big
mhm,
were her thighs, how big were her
mhm,
calves, how big, like,
mhm,
because the smaller was better,
mhm.
and so it's just crazy.
Yeah, but I think that has a lot to do with that, and I think Madonna has, even though there's been a lot of internal struggle that started about 20 years ago with grappling with age, grappling with who is she now. um I feel like she's become just another trendsetter for women to keep going. Like something I had said to Denise when we were talking about what we were going to discuss tonight, it had been at the forefront of my mind where I was like, how come Mick Jagger can run around stage in tight little pants and no one says anything about it, but Madonna runs around in tight little pants or whatever it is women wear and just gets ripped apart. And it's like, it's just so obvious how imbalanced, but that's the beauty of Madonna. It's not about whether or not you like her music, this as far as this conversation goes. It's about the fact that she will not apologize for just living her life. And that, so why does she get more flack? I think I feel the same reason that you said, because she was constantly pushing the envelope with her thought process, with her music, with the questions she would ask. I feel like from an intuitive place, though, for her, she's really aging has been hard for her. And it in hard, not in a way that let me say this. Aging has been hard for her in the sense that it's the moment, it's the time for her to truly grapple with who she is at her core. As a young girl, she was able to deflect and also live out loud, but it was more about, in many ways, serving those that needed to be served and taking a lot off herself. I'm not saying she didn't love performing and love herself and love all of that. I'm saying she spoke out for those that needed a voice. And that, in many ways, overrode her dealing with who she was personally. And now again, like I'm being shown this last, these last 20 years, she was forced to go within and look at herself, and not look at herself as far as her career, what she
Right.
says. I mean, her karma, her ancestors, her mother, all of that. And so that's where she's been, and that's been, and having children, as is a mirror to all of that. So that's where a lot of her struggle was coming from.
Right. And I think when she got very ill and there
Mhm.
was rumors that she almost died, and and none of that was ever confirmed or denied or anything like that, other than that she was very ill and in the
Mhm.
hospital, right? And so I
Mhm.
think, like, to your point, that brings all of that forward, because you look at your lifespan and you're like, where am I at here? What am I doing?
Mhm. Mhm.
If I don't get better and tomorrow's my last day, well,
What
what have
now?
I what now? What have I contributed to my children? Did I teach them what they need? You know what I mean? You go through all these things, and I'm sure you do that probably even if you're 80, but but she's, because like her kids are still fairly young. Like her kids
Mhm.
are, all under 30.
Mhm. Yeah,
For
absolutely.
67, I don't, because she was, her two youngest, I believe, are 22, and she adopted them.
Mhm.
So she's got one, two, three. Does she have five kids?
I think too, we can all use her, whether the younger generation realizes it or not, because when you're in your 20s and 30s, like I always say this,
Kids.
from 20 to like 45, life is sort of, you're the considered the young ones, right? And then once you start to hit 45, that all changes. But during that time frame, you're very impressionable, and you don't realize it till you start to feel quote unquote older, who will ultimately influence you. And I think Madonna is forever, for women, going to be someone who influences us in a positive way to,
Mhm.
as much as I keep reusing, this is the only statement that keeps coming to mind, of living out loud, and
Mhm.
being and doing it whether you're allowed to or not. And
Right.
allowing us to be allowing 60 to look different than it used to, allow 70 to look different than it used to. Um, I think that's really important for us.
That, and to not worry about the haters that are out there in the world. Like,
Mhm,
well, you should not do and you should not wear, and
mhm,
because you know it's easy to stay on the outside, because, like, I don't know, we got some funny comments about our show that we did with Idaho 4 last week, right? And when you get haters in your comments, you're like, okay, you know what, we've hit a nerve, right? And
mhm,
that's actually a good thing. And
mhm,
usually with stuff like that, it's more about that person than it
mhm,
is about you or what you did or what you said. And
mhm,
so if we can sometimes take that step back and realize that that actually had nothing to do with us, that's their fear of being seen, that's their fear of somebody noticing them. you
mhm,
know there's so many people out there. I mean, I've had my hair all different colors, and I don't care. I mean, like,
mhm.
I don't think, the only time I look at somebody's hair and I'm like, oh, is if it was a really bad job. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't care what color it is, but if your hair's fried and it's a bad job, then you're like, oh, that's interesting. But if it's all these different colors or whatever color you want it to be, and your hair's healthy and you're taking care of it, who cares?
And if you think about it, especially for those that are in our age range, when you're on social media and you see how so many of us are feeling so much freer, so much more, um less self-conscious, so much more independent, so much more, I don't give a, then that inevitably lends itself to trying something new, getting a tattoo, getting your hair colored, doing whatever that might be. It's like, you're obviously going to do whatever you want because you're feeling the freedom to finally do it. And I feel
Right.
like Madonna has symbolized that my whole life, at least. And honestly, it wasn't even until we started talking about it tonight did I really realize the impact of her just being that open, and confident, and how that really affected me in a positive way as a
Mhm.
woman growing up. And I think that's a really great thing. So
Yeah.
kudos to you, Madonna.
Yeah. And like with the whole Cher thing, like, she's actually at the point where she's like, I don't give a about what anybody thinks of me. She's like, you know what? I'm out here just living my life. And one of the things that I think is really amazing about both of them and a lot of other females, they're not being noticed because they've behaved badly,
Mm-hmm.
right? They didn't crash out, as Violet pointed out. They didn't crash out. They didn't cause chaos. They didn't come unhinged. You know what I mean? And it's like they've managed to evolve through all of these decades, stay relevant, and not lose really who they are.
Mm-hmm. And I think that goes to this question here. When a woman refuses to the quiet down as you age, and why that triggers people, to your point, it's when people fall out of the norm, it is scary. And the norm is not normal. It's just something that gives you a false sense of security, right? Like we always say, kids need boundaries, but humans need boundaries, because when you have structure and boundaries, you feel safe. And especially like they talk about when you lose someone you love, stick with your like don't move, don't do any big moves, but don't move, like just get into your structure, because that makes us feel safe and normal. So when someone comes in and is like, okay, these structures that society has put in place really aren't normal, and they're very uncomfortable, and someone says what we've all been thinking and feeling, whether we realized it or not, this is when we start to change things. And it's because of her, women started to change and realize, I feel uncomfortable because what society says is normal doesn't feel normal to me. It makes me feel very uncomfortable. So if she's finding comfort in her loudness, then maybe I can find comfort in also being loud. So yay. Thank you, Madonna. This was a good conversation. Anything else you want to add before we move on?
No, I think that kind of covers it, and she's still an icon.
She's still an icon. Okay, you guys, spirit of the house. Remember, it's the energy, not the way the home looks. It's the energy of the home, not the way the home looks.
Hi there, mid-century modernist, Travis Smith here. We are in Indian Canyons in the south end of Palm Springs. I'm going to take you inside a Pueblo modern house, which was built in '73 by architect Robert Bloch. This has been called the Gabor House. All the Gabor sisters and her mother, this house belonged to their plastic surgeon, and this is where they would all stay and recover after their refresh procedures.
What a coincidence that the Gabor sisters came here to heal. The way the home was built actually lends itself to healing, self-realization. This is a home where once you move in, you settle in and get comfortable in your own skin. This home feels like it was built and then restored with a lot of love, a lot of attention to detail, a lot of attention to personality. This home feels like it was cared for almost as you would care for a child. Very nurturing. I feel like those that built it and those that are been restoring it feel the energy of the home and really apply the design to what they feel the home wants and needs. Even if you aren't an intuitive person, you walk into this space and you can feel a sense of calm. And remember, it's not about the decor, it's about the energy that the walls and the architecture holds.
Oh, you're muted. We're muted.
Why does it mute me? I don't understand that about StreamYard. Anyway, hello. I was reading comments and laughing out loud. First off, this is in reference to our last conversation about Madonna, where Violet said, because Cher could kick your ass and Madonna couldn't.
I agree with that.
I mean, Madonna was pretty tough, but yes, and now crashing out. Hold on. She's it was that comment you made about your boyfriend not being born yet. Daisy's mom said, when I was 22, I dated a 19-year-old. The crap I got was crazy. His mom hated me. Then at 30, dated briefly a 20-year-old. It was even worse. Isn't it crazy looking back? 22 and 19. how is that even a difference? 30 and 20. I mean, Bruce and I are 12 years apart. Like, people worry about the dumbest thing.
Shit. Oh, sorry.
I know. It's
and you know, and then it makes you wonder, like, if it was 25 and 35, would people have, you know, had the same thought? Or
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's just funny because
Yeah.
I mean, I know my son and his wife are 9 years apart.
Right. But I guess good point. Is your son older or younger?
He's older.
Yeah, Bruce is older. See, when the
Yeah.
man's older, it doesn't matter. But if the woman's older, which is Daisy's mom's point, if the woman's
Yeah.
older, forget it. So stupid. Again, an example of some rule that was made up that everyone just sort of went along with until one day women were like, this is just some made up rule. It doesn't exist in the universe. It doesn't exist. But if enough people say it, then it exists? No.
Right?
So silly.
It's
So
very silly.
Speaking of silly, there was a wedding over the 4th of July. Taylor and Travis. I'm sorry.
No, calm down. It was last weekend.
Last weekend. Don't have what are they, Swifties come after me over the
Get it right.
The silliness of this wedding.
At least I don't think it was. I think it was just last weekend.
You're
I
right.
don't think
it was you're right. It was the 4th of July weekend. So Taylor and Travis wedding. It happened 4th of July weekend, but we're still talking about it, obviously, especially now that a new report has revealed more alleged behind the scenes detail about what guests had to do before they could attend. In lieu of guests showering the couple with gifts, fortunately, they donated $26 million, apparently. Thank you. The anticipated nuptials happened on Friday, July 3rd, with a lot of rules and directions, with a few, quote, if you don't follow, you won't attend. Anyway, let's get into that. So, tell us about these silly driving directions.
Okay, so everyone was given a QR code of, you know, where they were supposed to go and which route they were supposed to take. So my question, and there was a lot of other things too, and they were, you know, this is where you could stay and and, you know, and everybody's like, well, if you didn't want anybody to know where you were getting married, why'd you get married at a Madison Square Garden? Why did you have 1,000 people and blah, blah, blah. So then, you know, my take on it was, just to play devil's advocate, was this part of the fun of the wedding? Like a scavenger hunt. Also, like with the traffic, because you have a lot of high profile celebrities with their own security detail. Was this actually really just to make the police department's job a little bit easier, as opposed to total mass pandemonium and chaos in a city that already has traffic jams on a regular basis? You know what I mean? Right. So that was my playing devil's advocate there. And, you know, so you know, so that was kind of where I was coming from. And, you know, do I think the two of them are a little my way or no way? A little bit. Yes, I do. But again, I don't need any Swifties coming after me, because I'm not a Swiftie. I don't dislike her. I don't dislike her music or anything like that. But at the same time, you know, was it really all about her, or was it also about being proactive in where you were getting married and that sort of thing? Because, you know, love her or hate her, she's a business genius at this point. I mean, she's got, you know, gajillion dollars, right? So she's doing something right.
I think that's the whole question is, you know, a lot of people are like, let her do it however she wants. And yes, she can do it however she wants. But I think the subconscious kind of vibe everyone feels, not just with her, but in general with celebrities, is how much of this is publicity driven. And when it's publicity driven, you feel a little taken, you know, versus when someone goes off and does something quietly and privately, because it's really just about what's special to them, and they're not making it a part of their business. And I feel from an intuitive place, when you feel this whole experience, that's where a lot of people felt an authenticity from her, and that's what they loved about her, and that's why they followed. And this felt very inauthentic. And I feel like that's where a lot of the backlash is coming from, that people feel almost taken, and they've never felt that from her before. The driving directions feel like it feels more logistical than anything else. Then you ask, I believe the longevity of the relationship is previous. Yes, you and I had talked before about, but we didn't talk about it here. We talked about how we didn't see them lasting very long. And it would be like a busy schedules would separate them. I felt about 5 years max.
Well, there was somebody that I follow. She's an astrologist on Instagram, and she was talking about how, because they got married during Mercury retrograde, and that's not always the best time to tie the knot. I mean, you can, but you've got some things to do. And so she was saying maybe 18 months to 2 years.
Okay. Yeah.
Because of the timing of everything and where the planets will be. I mean, I know a little bit. I don't know the whole, and so I thought that was interesting because we had already kind of talked about that a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see. And I don't know that and I think we even talked about this then. I don't know that I see them getting divorced, but I think it's going to be this kind of thing.
Where they break up and get back together, or
more of he's going to go do his thing. She's going to be touring. He's not necessarily going to go with her, but they're not necessarily going to break up kind of thing. It's the weirdest thing. Like the thing that just popped into my head was like Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith. It's like nobody ever saw them surviving, but yet they've stayed married. But I don't know that they're together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think a lot of that time they weren't together.
Right.
Yeah, because I feel like this started as something fun, and then it's just going to wear off, which I feel like a lot of, we all see this happen with a lot of celebrities where the honeymoon period ends and they're like, well, I'm bored and I've spent my whole life getting what I want and not being bored, so I guess we break up. Whereas people who aren't in that type of lifestyle realize, okay, the honeymoon ends. And now you're like, okay, do I like this person? Do I want to stay with this person? And that's what marriage is. It's the honeymoon's over.
Right.
And when it's over, it's not fun every day, but I think I've said this before. Someone said, I don't know, I think I heard on a talk show, someone say this, but if you are excited to see your partner's car in the driveway when you come home, then you're good, even if you're going through a hard time. And I don't know that celebrities allow themselves that opportunity because they're looking for that rush, right? Of like
that dopamine hit.
Yeah. So, I think that that's my intuitive sense, is that she let people down because she did something very inauthentic. And it feels very like, even though like we talked about their marriage, their partnership didn't feel like, I know a lot of people are saying it's a lavender wedding, and could be. I mean, I wouldn't be in like shock and awe and clutching my pearls if that was the case, because you can feel the camaraderie, you can feel a connection there. But I just lost my train of thought where I was going with it. But for some reason, everything around this wedding made me feel them like this. It wasn't this, and I don't care where. I mean, there's plenty of people that have massive. I mean, listen, there are people that aren't Taylor Swift and they have massive weddings. I just did not feel it a bonding moment for them at all. It felt purely business, purely business. And, I mean, I just like my own perception. It's like, when you're inviting people to your wedding that you've maybe met once, whether you're famous or not, that to me is strange. Like I don't get that. Why are you inviting someone does she know Jennifer Lopez personally? And
I don't know. And I get where you're coming from, but it is funny because I think this is where she would go into her little girl's mind of what she wanted when she was getting married. And I observed people who think everybody wants to go to their wedding.
oh, interesting.
And some of those were part of my family.
Oh, interesting.
And the thing is actually everybody doesn't
No,
to go
God,
to your
no.
wedding. They're really happy to not be invited. You know what I mean? And so it's just a very interesting way of looking at things. And so perhaps that's why it felt inauthentic, because it's her 12-year-old self, her 13-year-old, because, whether that's a whole different discussion, but little girls are brought up on Disney princess movies, right? And it's like, you want this big ta-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, right? And she has the resources to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And so does he. So between the two of them, I don't know who paid for what, and it doesn't matter, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wonder if
Good
that
point.
was a portion of it. And at the same time, yes, I can see how that absolutely feels inauthentic to her fans, but she was living out her, 12, 13-year-old, little girl fantasy of.
It's a great point.
So that's,
That's a great point. All right. So let's not talk about them for a while. I'm just kidding.
Are you feeling invisible, or are you actually starting to come back online and realize and recognize who you are? So many women in midlife feel lost and invisible because they have spent decades taking care of everyone else. Even as children, we learn how to navigate a room in our family structure and what that looks like for us. Then we might go on to, have our own families, and then we're taking care of there, or then we might be taking care of elderly parents, or maybe even babysitting siblings when we were younger. So we have always identified with being a caregiver or somebody that's always been needed. And now all of a sudden you're faced with this new era of your life, and you're like, what am I supposed to do with this? And that's why it's so incredibly important to pour into yourself from the very beginning. Because as wives, as mothers, as sisters, as daughters, things happen, things change, and we don't plan for those things. But, if you're a mom, your kids grow up. If we do our job kind of right, they move out of the house. If we're a wife and we might unexpectedly lose a spouse to whether either it's death or a divorce, all of a sudden, now you got to figure it out on your own. But if you've never been pouring into yourself, then you're going to be even more lost. It is imperative to have your own meditation practice. It's imperative to have your own places to go where you're comfortable, where you feel like your soul is being fed. Because sometimes life hands you lemons and you don't actually know how to make lemonade. So if this is a new concept for you, start to ask yourself one question, and that is, what would I do if I had all the time in the world and I could do whatever I wanted? And most often, your inner child will be able to tell you that. So ask her if you can't figure it out on your own. And that's Denise's Dish.
Hi.
We're back.
We're back. Okay, so we've got this energy. Oh, this is our case update. Sarah Graham, true crime. You guys follow true crime? If you follow us, remember we did the Sarah Graham case. It's under the live tab.
Yes.
On our page, but you've got an update here. What's going on?
So with Sarah Graham, I came across the fact that she, unfortunately, they still have not found her body. However, there has been arrests made. And this was really helpful for me to understand, especially when I think we talked about, and I watched Trust Me, I'm the False Prophet, because different phases of an investigation can unlock different bits of information. So she was presumed dead after 10 years. However, she had not been declared legally dead. And because of that, their hands were tied on certain things. So once a judge legally declared her dead, then new information could be investigated because now she was legally dead. And so within like 2 to 3 weeks of a judge declaring her legally dead, unearthing this new information led to an arrest of the stepmother, the stepbrother, and a friend. And if you guys go back and watch this, if you haven't watched it, or if you did and you recall, we said it was the mother and the stepbrother, and there was a third person. And so now what has gone on to happen is that the stepmother is been arrested. She is on, she doesn't have bond. I think, let me double check that. But because I thought I had this memorized, but maybe I don't.
Memorized? Oh my Lord.
I know. Sorry, people. So she was arrested, and if she was charged with destroying and altering evidence, like the bedding, the clothing, the floor in their houses, like it was just wild, the things that she did. So she was charged with felony conspiracy and first-degree murder, and then her son was charged with felony conspiracy and evidence tampering, and then the other person was charged with felony conspiracy, evidence tampering, and accessory after the fact. Wow. So according to the warrants, this McClellan, he helped burn evidence, helped dispose of Sarah Graham's remains. Currently, they still have not found her remains. There is a $5,000 reward for that. During her first appearance in court, Connie was denied bond, but all three suspects are being held in custody, but have been moved out of the county for safekeeping, according to the sheriff's office, because they don't want anything to happen to her, so that they can put her on trial. And then the other two, the stepson and the friend, are being held on $1 million secured bonds. So,
wow. Crazy. Wow.
Yeah. So
go watch our video. We
Yeah.
got that one right. That's the point.
yeah, that was the point to that. But I also because we, try to keep people updated, because, as you pointed out, Nancy is our mascot. And unfortunately, I really just wish they would find her body and be able to put this to rest. But here we are.
Here we are. She has not been found, and no suspects in her actual disappearance have been publicly identified. But there's this dude, Derek Colella, 42, of Hawthorne. He pleaded guilty to 2 counts of harassment by telecommunications device in the only criminal conviction stemming from the disappearance so far. He admitted sending a message asking about a Bitcoin transfer to Nancy's daughter, Annie, and son-in-law, Tommaso, and told investigators he'd pulled the family's contact info off of a website while following TV coverage of the case. Investigators determined he had no connection to Nancy's actual disappearance or to a separate earlier ransom demand sent to local media. The FBI continues to investigate Guthrie's disappearance as a kidnapping for ransom case, with the underlying crime still unsolved, and outlets have reported conflicting details, even on Colella's own case. God, you guys. I don't know what to tell you or what we're going to do with this, but thank you, Hazel. We've read this so many times, so everything we said still stands. Nothing's changed. Other than I keep saying, I feel like any day now they're going to reveal her body, and that doesn't seem to be happening. So I may not be right on about that. Almost everyone in comments think that Colella is involved. Interesting.
Well, and, kind of to that point, Hazel, like the thing that, that when I was kind of reading, and again, there's really not a whole lot out there, but the fact that this Steve Moore is kind of like, he's retired, but he's giving a little pushback about the discrepancies in some of this. So it does make you wonder if it's being maneuvered, and like, because we've talked about this, how it's all just being kind of shuffled till they kind of get their ducks in a row and figure it out and then, lay it out. I don't know.
I'm looking at a picture of this guy, Derek, right now. And I think he is involved. I'm rereading what you said. I mean, he did do this. So the question is he let me take that back. When I say he is involved, I mean he did do what they're saying he did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is he involved with the actual disappearance of her? I don't think so.
No. And one of the things that I kind of got with this is that because he's being sent to a rehab center, so I wonder if there's some substance abuse going on there that it caused him to act out of character, as far, and I don't know what his character normally would be, but just to, be
so
politically correct here, you're just like, okay, would he have done this if he was, quote unquote sober? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Almost everyone comments he's not. So to clarify what I was saying, he's not involved in Nancy's case, but he did do what he pleaded guilty to.
Yeah.
This conspiracies, you got. I mean, conspiracies. I've always say conspiracies are rooted in some sort of truth, but then they get blown up, and so we got to just whittle down to that truth.
Oh, Hazel said he was on meth. Okay, well that would explain it. that would mess with your brain. They need to, on some level, they need to bring those commercials back from when we were kids, and it's like, this is your brain. This is your brain on drugs and the fried egg.
It is very accurate. Okay, listen, we had one more case to get to, but it's 6:56. So we're going to share this case, save this case for next time. And that case is really actually kind of, if I can find it, where is it? Here. Oh, this one. Yes. So we're going to save this one for next time, but we want to feel out the energy of this. Is this guy telling the truth and something's being covered up? Or is he making things up and the family, this never happened, but he's really saying a lot of stuff went down. Mm-hmm. So we'll get to this one. We'll move this to the next week. No, well, not next week, but the week after. Okay. Post show's coming up, but this week, we've got, after the post show tonight, tomorrow night's Tuesday, Q&A, paranormal Q&A, behind the hauntings. Thursday night, we've got the psychic tea. And then we've got behind the hauntings, we've got your cosmic circle, soul support. But then Monday, we are back again for the Idaho 4.
Part 3.
Part 3. Wow. And Savannah said she has some really interesting updates and information. So I tell her not to tell me anything. So that should be interesting.
Yeah, that should be good, because I was actually thinking about that today, and I'm really glad that she and Jen took that off to the side, because I was like, I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
Yeah, I would have stopped it, but yeah.
So for a lot of reasons, I'm like, I don't want to know, but here we are.
Yes, for a lot of reasons we don't want to know. He told the court when he said, "Oh, I already said that." Okay.
Yeah,
guys. Okay. Thank you. Have a great night. We'll see some of you guys at the post show on Patreon. Thank you. Deep inhale through the nose. Exhale, blow it out. Deep inhale through the nose. Exhale, blow it out. Relaxing the shoulders, forehead. Feel the jaw release. Wiggle the fingers and the toes to make sure they're not clenched. Notice if the belly is soft, relaxed. And feel the belly as it moves with the breath. Feeling yourself rooted, grounded, as if Mother Earth is pulling you down into the center, holding you, protecting you, taking from you anything you no longer need. Deep inhale through the nose. Exhale, blow it out. That's your pop therapy for today.